Trump is learning a hell of a lesson. So basically, Trump has been beating up on China for a long time. First time he came into office, he hit China with a huge amount of tariffs. And then in his new thing, he hits them with 100% tariffs, even more tariffs that are much larger than what they were before. And all of this stuff, Trump says, oh, well, this is like good stuff. You know what it tells countries? It's very simple. It tells them that you're not trustworthy, that every time you and people like you get elected into the United States, you're just going to hit us with 100% tariffs. You're going to increase tariffs. You're going to hit us for whatever bullcrap reason you want to hit us with massive tariffs. We don't like that. China doesn't like that. See what China decides? It realizes that, out of what would be the last 12 years, 8 of them were direct attacks against China. So what does China decide to do? It's got to form relationships with other suppliers and other providers of things that it needs. And it did. It went over to Brazil and said, I'm going to sign a soybean deal with you. Argentina, signing a soybean deal with you. And other countries around the world. We need different supplies that are not the United States for everything that we need. Soybean is just the big one. There are others. Canada is the same way. Canada just went to Mexico and said, yeah, let's sign a deal, And Canada is selling Mexico, the corn. Why? Because the problem about farming is that you're not making a product that can't be produced literally anywhere where there is a functioning climate, soil to grow, basic structures, right? Well, so China has cut us out. And Trump is now getting this notice that he realizes that he just screwed over the farmers and that, yeah, he may give farmers a bailout. The problem that the farmers ultimately have is this. They just lost 50%, more than 50% of the world's soybean market. Gone. And that's not coming back. But the problem is that China also knows one other thing, and Trump is right about this when he sent that little text where he was worried about, being that China has this position. Of course it does. It knows that if it withholds soybean purchases, there are there are at least 3 states whose economies are largely connected to soybeans. Iowa is one of them. And if those farmers are gone, or they need to replant and basically accept the reality that their thousands of acres are no longer going to be selling anything to China, that becomes a problem. Because you got to grow something, right? But what is that going to be? How long is it going to take for that to grow? Because China's done. So this is the problem, and China knows that if it decides to make a deal, Trump will do anything to make the deal, because the election's coming up in about a year and a half, actually a year and about 2 months, and people will actually begin to be voting about this time next year. And so what Trump has to do is rescue that, and China can just simply say, listen, we're not going to do anything, and you're going to lose all those voters. Those voters are going to be gone because they're going to be homeless because we're not buying their soybean. So Trump is screwed. But Trump screwed himself. And Trump screwed all of you farmers, because if he bails you out, what is he going to do when you need to replant your thousands of acres? Especially if you have a lot less labor. Where do you get the labor? I'm sorry about saying this, but this is just the truth. But this was what was going to happen. I'm sorry, it's what happened last time. It's just that this time, your main buyer just got sick and tired of you treating them like dog crap. of you treating them, since they're your main buyer, they're your main customer, that you are not treating them as though the customer is always right. You are not treating them with respect and dignity, so they're just going, screw you, we're done. We're just going to buy it from anyone else who'll grow it. We're done. And then you know what's happening with your labor? Oh yeah, that's right. A lot of Latinos are looking at you and saying, really, every single time a Republican comes into office, you're treating us like dog crap, even though we're the people who pick all your stuff. We're the people doing the work. We're the people who have been generations in this farm area. And you're treating us, like second-class citizens. And that labor pool doesn't have to be here. They don't. They're working a hard job of being a picker. And if you don't think being a picker can be done in Mexico or anywhere else, you're wrong. It may take a while for them to move, but then when they're gone, who's replacing them? Are you getting those replacements? Are those people who were supposed to be on Medicaid, are they leaving the jobs that they already have, perhaps in retail, in those nice air-conditioned places? Or maybe they're working like, where I'm sitting, in a city facility, under shaded environments and not out in the hot sun. Maybe they're working in other places, libraries, whatever. And they're supposed to come to work for you? Are they doing it? Because it takes a special kind of person to pick food for a living. It requires a special kind of worker, a worker who's prepared to work in the hot sun all day long and dealing with flies and bugs and all that stuff. And yeah, I know, here in California, you can make actually a fairly good living as a picker. It's not, it's a low salaried position, but when you're picking also for volume and weight, it can be you can make a modestly decent living. But not if the exchange for making that modest, decent living is being treated like a second-class citizen. Then they leave. And then your economy dies. So like, share, subscribe. I'm hopeful that China will do something, but I don't think they will, because it is not in their interest. It is not in the interest of China to negotiate a deal on soybean, unless, of course, they get Trump to hand over his appendix. So like, share, subscribe.